Opinion with Indian Judiciary on trial, it's time for fundamental reforms. Justice Bhushan Ramkrishna Gave was sworn in as the 52nd Chief Justice of India at a ceremony in the Rashtrapati Bhavan on May 14. His ascension is a watershed moment, in which a person from the lowest rung of society has been elevated to the highest post of the judiciary. Also, Justice B.R. Gave starts his innings as the Chief Justice of India at a time when the criminal justice system in Bharat is in disarray and faces myriads of existential crises. In this concluding part of the series on the state of criminal justice system, after analyzing the broken system and creating a case for substantive reforms in policing and prisons, we delve deeper into the immediate need to reform the criminal judicial system. Like other arms of the criminal justice system, the judiciary, too, faces multiple issues, including but not limited to high pendency of cases, low number of judges, persisting vacancies, low case clearance rates, fewer convictions, and corruption at the lower echelons of the judiciary. Chief Justice Gave, who will be at the helm of the Supreme Court for a short duration, has the daunting task more difficult than squaring a circle. A question arises here as to how overstretched the judiciary is. The short answer to this is bleak. Here is a tale of two tales, which succinctly describes the state of criminal judicial system. Former CJI Justice Ranjan Gogoi recently said in an interview in the Allahabad High Court, judges are still hearing 40-year-old criminal appeals. This means that if a person was convicted at the age of 30, they are now around 75 to 80 years old and still waiting for justice. Criminal trials must be completed within 3 to 4 years, at most. Today, in states like Uttar Pradesh, appeals remain stuck for decades. A person convicted by the trial court may wait 20 years before the High Court even hears the appeal. If the High Court later finds them innocent, what compensation can be given for those lost years coming from a previous CJI? This presents a harrowing picture. In 2003, the Committee on Reforms of Criminal Justice System Government of India headed by Justice V.S. Mali Math noted a former Chief Justice of India warned nearly a decade ago that the criminal justice system in India was about to collapse. It is common knowledge that the two major problems besieging the criminal justice system are huge pendency of criminal cases and the inordinate delay in disposal of criminal cases on the one hand, and the very low rate of conviction in cases involving serious crimes on the other. This has encouraged crime. Violent and organized crimes have become the order of the day. As chances of convictions are remote, crime has become a profitable business. Life has become unsafe, and people live in constant fear. Law and order situation has deteriorated, and the citizens have lost confidence in the criminal justice system. What was true in 2003 is truer in 2025. Unsurprisingly, between 1953 and 2023, the cognizable crimes in India rose 9.67 times from about 0.6 million to about 5.8 million, while the population grew 3.82 times in the same period. Notably, the crime rate more than doubled during this period, from 160 in 1953 to 422.2 in 2023. A key message here is that while the number of cognizable cases are growing much faster than the population, pending criminal cases in the court are increasing due to the dwindling number of disposals and fast addition of new cases every year. As if this is not bad enough, the ground situation is worsening fast. Another disturbing feature of the present state of the judicial system is that poor destitute, whether languishing in jail as under trial or out on bail pending trial, suffer the most often for small-ticket crimes. Contrarily, the big-ticket criminals, the Bahubalis, mafia kings, and highly connected criminals roam free. The result is that criminals who ought to be arrested are let free on account of money, power, complicity, political influence, or other considerations, while harmless persons who need not be arrested at all are often arrested and remanded to police and judicial custody on inadequate grounds. In the paragraphs below I discuss in brief issues plaguing the judiciary. Their main import is the denial of justice to ordinary Bharatiyas, particularly those from the lowest rung of society. While the issues are myriad, I will stress upon the more important ones. Here they are. High pendency of cases. As of April 2018, there were more than 3 crore pending cases across the Supreme Court, the High Courts, and the subordinate courts. Of these, the subordinate courts accounted for over 86% pendency of cases, followed by 13.8% pendency before the 24 High Courts. The remaining 0.2% of cases are pending with the Supreme Court. More worryingly, over 80% of all cases pending in the lower courts are criminal cases. The situation regarding pending cases has substantially worsened, with the latest number of pending cases reported to be more than 5.2 crore. In 2024, the number of pending cases in courts increased above 5 crore. At present, it is estimated that the Supreme Court has around 82,000 pending cases, High Courts have over 62 lakh and lower courts nearly 5 crore. About 50 lakh cases have been pending for over 10 years. Also, as per the available reports, the criminal cases account for a disproportionately enormous number of the pending cases, and their number is increasing at an alarming rate with every year. The situation is so harrowing that if business as usual continues, soon more than 10% of Bharatiyas will be embroiled in one or other criminal case. Large number of old cases. According to the India Justice Report 2025, out of the 5.1 crore cases pending across high courts and district courts in January 2025, 12% are pending for more than 10 years and 22% for 5 to 10 years. On average, 61% and 46% are pending for more than 3 years at both levels. Nearly 62,000 cases have been pending for over 30 years in various high courts, including some dating back to the early 1950s. Low number of judges. While the number of pending cases is increasing, the courts are gripped with an abysmally dwindling number of judges per million of population. And the current sorry state is despite the fact that as early as the Law Commission of India in its 120th report on manpower planning in Judiciary A Blueprint 1987 observed that the strength of judicial officers in India was far fewer as compared to certain other countries, and the Commission recommended the increase of judges from then prevailing 10.5 judges per million population to 50 judges per million population. 2. Soon thereafter, the Supreme Court in judgment dated March 21, 2002. In the case of All India Judges Association and others vs Union of India and others, directed the government to increase the strength of judges from the then existing 13 judges per 10 lakh people to 50 judges per 10 lakh people within 5 years. It would have increased the number of judges to 51,351, making it 50 judges per 1 million population as per the census 2001 from the then existing strength of 15,095, i.e., 14.7 judges per million population. More than 2.5 decades have gone by. But there has been no increase in the number of judges. In January, the actual number of judges was 21,285, with the result that the number of judges per million population languishes in 2025 at where it was in 2002, less than 15 per million population. Higher judicial vacancy. While the number of sanctioned posts in judiciary is low enough, the chronic vacancies make the ground reality worse. As per India Justice Report 2025, judge vacancies at the high courts and district courts have changed little and continue to hover around 33% and 21% respectively, while the staff vacancies in courts stand at 27%. Lower courts are the one where most cases begin and end. But these are also the one where the vacancy of judges and magistrates hurts most. These courts are saddled with more than 3.5 crore pending cases, and fresh cases are getting added in decoy. The current level of 20,478 judges at the lower court level to serve 1.42 billion Bharatias presents a harrowing tale. Cases per judge, a natural outcome of the low level of judges per million population and persisting high vacancies, particularly at the subordinate and district courts, has an increasing high load of cases per judge. It is reported that by the end of 2024 in most high courts, the number of cases averaged over 1,000 cases per judge, with Allahabad and Madhya Pradesh High Court judges' workloads amounting to an astonishing 15,000 cases each. Their situation is more alarming at the level of district courts, where the average workload per judge is more than 2,200, with extremely high state-level variations. Infrastructure gap. Judicial manpower shortage is not the only problem afflicting courts. Court hall shortages influence judge appointments. Even at the current low level of number of judges per million, there is a gnawing gap of physical infrastructure, particularly the court halls. As of 2025, there are 22,045 court halls available for the sitting 20,478 judges as against the 25,771 sanctioned positions of judges. Low case clearing rate. Justice delayed is justice denied, and the sad story is that the low case clearance rates in courts is seriously eroding the confidence of ordinary Bharatias in the efficacy of the judicial system. Instances of corruption. The subject matter of corruption in the judiciary is a delicate thing to discuss upon, but the truth beckons that even though cases of corruption are few and far between in the higher echelons of the judiciary, the level of corruption in the lower courts have always been a case of concern, and there is reason to believe that their incidence is increasing. At least 3 former Chief Justices of India have acknowledged about the cancer of corruption in the judiciary, and this perception is backed up by quantitative evidence. According to Transparency International, 32% of Indians who used the courts in 2020 had paid a bribe that year, while 38% resorted to personal connections to navigate the system. With the Indian judicial system being the self-governing one, the onus to weed out corruption from the system wherever it exists lies with the apex court. But with the judiciary being a mirror of the society, it is easier said than done. These are not the only reasons behind delayed and denied justice. There are a high number of cases and low rate of convictions, owed to the inferior quality of investigation, prosecution, and often collusion of prosecution with the culprits. Also, frequent unwarranted adjournment of hearings has a deleterious impact on delaying and denying justice. Technical or unfulfilled procedural requirements or inadequacies of evidence or non-examination of material witnesses, mistakes, and other factors also contribute to acquittals, resulting in low convictions. There are also inbuilt issues in the system. Statutory and judicial distrust of police. Under Section 181 of the Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita (BNSS), statements made to a police officer during an investigation are not admissible as evidence in a court of law. These statements cannot be signed by the person making them and cannot be used for any purpose, including corroboration or contradiction. The above results in a situation that even where the police investigation is timely, proper and of highest quality, the valuable material collected by the investigating officer during investigation cannot be used by the prosecution. This seriously affects the prosecution and is a major cause for the delay and consequential failure of the system. System skewed in favor of the accused. The system that India follows is of the adversarial system, where the fundamental principle of criminal jurisprudence is presumption of innocence and right to silence of the accused, burden of proof on the prosecution, and the right to fair trial. As the prosecution must prove the case beyond reasonable doubt, the system is skewed in favor of the accused and over the years taking advantage of several lacunae in the adversarial system. Hence, a large number of criminals are escaping convictions. This has seriously eroded the confidence of the people in the efficacy of the system. Therefore, it is necessary to examine how to plug the escape routes and to block possible new ones. Low-quality legal aid to the poor. Talking of the urgent need of legal aid to the poor in 1979, Justice P. N. Bhagwati, then Chief Justice of India, said in Hussainur Khatun v. Home Secretary, State of Bihar, legal aid is not charity, but a necessary adjunct to the administration of justice, ensuring equal access to justice for all. The time is now to completely focus on every aspect of the criminal judicial system, including but not limited to police, law pertaining to bail, improve the quality of investigation, reimagine the role of prosecution and provide substantially improved judicial aid to the poor at every level. Also needed is simplifying judicial procedures and practices, bringing about synergy among the judiciary, the prosecution, and police, making the system simpler, faster, cheaper, and people-friendly, and restoring the confidence of the public in the system. Swipe left for next video. Also, if the number of pending cases have to reduce, legislature, executive, and judiciary has to come together to revolutionize the system, not only for expeditious disposal of cases but also drastically revolutionizing the present state by taking urgent recourse to using the alternative courses of action like plea bargaining, probation, admonition and community service among others. The author is multidisciplinary thought leader with action bias, India-based international impact consultant, and keen watcher of changing national and international scenarios. He works as President Advisory Services of consulting company Barsil. Views expressed in the above piece are personal and solely those of the author. They do not necessarily reflect News 18's views. Latest blogs.